Christian Michel, the British middleman in the AgustaWestland chopper scandal, is missing, his lawyer has told NDTV today, amid very confusing reports on whether or not he's going to be extradited to India. Last evening, reports came in that a Dubai court had ordered Michel's extradition to India, and those now have been contradicted in New Delhi today. This evening, we learned that there is no court order in the UAE on Michel's extradition and that India has not, in fact, received any official communication from the UAE in this regard. What we're told is that on the 26th of August, the UAE government asked the court there whether a British national can be extradited to a third country. On the 2nd of September, the court gave an opinion, not an order, saying whatever it wanted to say. Now, the Indian embassy has been asked to further verify the actual details, and what's added to the confusion are statements, for instance, by Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, who was asked about this reported court order, who called it a positive development today, saying it had created a sense of unease in some leaders, apparently referring to the Congress. So we're trying to find out what exactly is going on as far as this story is concerned, because remember, this is a scam that the NDA is hoping will really pin the Congress down at a time also when it's facing a lot of heat on the Rafale issue. In this particular case, Christian Michel is said to be the middleman who took bribes and who paid bribes to arrange for these choppers to be bought in recent months. He's even made a sensational claim that he was being put under pressure to actually indict Sonia Gandhi and other top Congress leaders. So what is the real story? Joining us here in the studio tonight, we have Ajay Shukla, who's of course a very well-known defense analyst, Air Marshal P.S. Ahluwalia joining us tonight, who was of course the ex-air officer commanding-in-chief of the Western Air Command, Raghav Awasthi of the RSS, and Shama Mohammed of the Congress with us as well. Ajay, what do you make of this? You're both a defense analyst, you've been a journalist, you are a journalist. Two different versions have leaked out from the government in the last 24 hours on this extradition story. What does that tell you?
Well, the sequence of events, I'm extrapolating and making a judgment here, but the sequence of events at a time when the opposition pressure on the ruling BJP is increasing over the Rafale scam, it seems to me that this raising of an alternative issue, if I may put it, your defense deal versus my defense deal kind of thing, the timing does not lend itself a lot of credibility. Also, you've got a deal, sort of an alleged scam where everybody from the Italian side has been discharged or sort of acquitted by Italian courts, but this thing continues in India. You know, it smacks of political vendetta, and I'm not saying that it's only from one side. When the Congress was in power, then Antony, as the defense minister, had sort of ruled out any further dealings with AgustaWestland and its parent company Finmeccanica. And the roots of this scandal, if we can call it a scandal at all, go back all the way to the BJP days of the last BJP rule, when the decision was taken to lower the ceiling of that helicopter from 6,000 meters to 4,500 meters. So that this particular helicopter became eligible. But to what end?
That was a BJP Can I ask decision. You, Ajay, just to play the devil's advocate, if this news was leaked last night to distract from, say, other headlines, to what end? Because it's something that can be easily contradicted, and today you did actually have people in the government contradicting that and saying that no, this was a court opinion and not an order.
We are living in a post-truth media sort of environment. It doesn't matter whether a thing is true, false, seen as true, seen as false. If there is a real focus of attention, as the Rafale has become a focus of attention, just raising an alternative focus serves a purpose. It doesn't matter whether it fades out after a couple of days. In that case, you can raise another issue. I think that the timing is just too sort of revealing and telling, and that too when it turns out that there is really no basis for this report.
Well, Air Marshal Ahluwalia, would you agree with that? Do you see this, as Ajay sees it, as odd timing, as a vendetta, or is this a real scandal? And then, if it is, how important does this middleman become to, for India and for him to come back?
Yeah, I think I would put my point of view as being a service guy, is that that's none of my business as to what the CBI does or what the ED does and what politics do. But the question is that CBI, they are responsible for extracting the truth wherever it might be and actually pinning the blame for criminalization, if any, and the ED for the financial aspects of it. Now, I think it's more important for them to come out with these statements, because last time when they blamed Tyagi, Air Chief Marshal Tyagi, and I was with CNN, IVN at that time in the evening, and they blamed him. And I just said that, look, don't jump the gun yet. Let the truth come out, and then you can sort of try to prove somebody guilty. But what is happening here is, just like Ajay said just now, that as far as the Italians are concerned, that was the first thing when Anthony in 2013, he took it up because of what happened in the Italian case, Italian courts. And the Italian courts had blamed Bruno and Orsi at that time. And therefore, Anthony, the very next day, if not the day after, started an inquiry, put the CBI, asked them to, investigate. So it started with the Italian court, and now the same Italian courts, because they have level 1, 2, 3, God knows how many, the Supreme Court of the Italian, they've appointed another court, and they have completely eliminated any possibility of being guilty for all those who were supposed to be, doing a criminal act. So therefore, in the first place, if you have taken the courts in Italy as being the gospel truth, and the same
why
courts,
don't you believe them when they acquit those who were accused?
yes, so that's what I'm trying to say, that who are you going to go on? What is the truth here? Where is the evidence? Who's got the evidence? Now this Michel fellow is another, I would say, a joker in the pack, because so many interviews have taken place with him, and at the end of the day, he hasn't come out with anything substantial. And we're still going around around the bush. The main thing is that get the money trail to start with. If you get the money trail, then you can start pinpointing who's to blame.
Okay.
So therefore, I don't think at this point in time there seems to be much progress in identifying who the real culprits are. But notwithstanding that, there is no doubt that the real culprits must be brought to book. But just give me one second more, that as far as the process was concerned, as far as the program was concerned, it followed everything the way it was supposed to. Just like he mentioned that it was the BJP in power, etc. They had good reasons to lower the height, because in 2003 it was actually lowered at that time when Brijesh Mishra, who was the principal secretary of the Prime Minister at that time, indicated, principal secretary at that time, he indicated that, look, we should not go for a single vendor situation, which was absolutely right, because I can tell you 90% of the guys in the Ministry of Defence don't want a single vendor situation.
You seem to be suggesting is that there is a mountain being made out of a molehill, perhaps.
But I'm not suggesting anything like that.
Or it may not be the wildfire that is being suggested, but whatever is being done must be backed with concrete evidence rather than conjecture.
I mean, the CBI and the ED must let out information that they can back up.
You know, part of the problem, Raghav Avasthi, is, and I think this is a reflection on Indian journalism as well, is that you have a lot of information that leaks from sources in the government, sources in the agencies, even today, sources in the government again. That's not good enough. I think journalists also need to start demanding on-record accountability for what is said. There is that deniability then. Yes, so how would you sort of look at what Air Marshal Ahluwalia is saying, that this needs to be dealt with on-record statements from the investigating agencies? Someone needs to come on record and say what the position is.
You're absolutely right. And however, I would add one caveat to it. As far as the UAE is concerned, my sense is that common law is followed in that country. So I would actually be really eager to read what the order or / opinion, whatever it is, actually says. And I am sure that, I mean, this is all subject to me having read whatever the order says, and this is where I think the journalists could have done a much better job, because we actually don't have the text of the order before us. So we have to contradictory.
There are actually 3 different translations of it.
3 different translations of it, and I haven't gone through them. Having said that, I think once I have gone through the order, or other lawyers have also gone through the order, then we will have a better sense of what the opinion is. As far as I am concerned, from my limited knowledge of the law, I can say that the question that was before the court was whether this fellow could be extradited from Dubai, despite the fact that he was a British national. Now, if the court's opinion is in the affirmative, then I guess this is a big step when it comes to ensuring his actual extradition. Eventually, yes. So, I think that we should be enthused about it. And to say...
You don't think it's an embarrassment that the story has turned around in 24 hours the way that it has? You know, a story is first put out, given to reporters and front paged in the newspapers saying that he will be extradited, and 12 hours later, it's a very different headline.
No, I think this is...
And it's coming all from the government.
This is a scathing indictment of the journalists, right, who bought the version, bought whatever was being fed to them hook, line and sinker. They should have exercised more. They should have exercised more discretion.
That I agree with
I don't know who their sources are, whether they're authoritative sources or not. I don't even know, as of now, it's you were telling me that the sources are in the government. I'm not very sure whether, you know, where these people have gotten the news from. But
I'll tell you after the show.
No, but we should definitely read the order. We should definitely go through the order. And I mean, I was trolling my Twitter feed during the day, and I could not read the order. But I think it will be a great step forward if the order actually opines that even though this fellow might be a British national, he can be extradited from the UAE. So,
Shama, you know, how the Congress would certainly be pleased with this at the moment, but, you know, nothing's ruled out. He could still be extradited. The UAE isn't like, you know, any other democracy. I think there is a fair amount of sort of political leeway that the rulers have there if they, and if international law allows them to extradite Christian Michel at some point.
Yeah, so we don't have a problem. You should understand when the AgustaWestland this came out, what did Mr. Anthony do? He immediately ordered a CBI probe. After that, the ED was involved. Why is that when we have a Rafale scam right now, they're not ready for a JPC? Nothing. We also wanted a JPC at that point of time. This shows our transparency, number one. Number two, Christian Michel has clearly said, his lawyer, Rosemary, that he's been coerced to name Mrs. Sonia Gandhi as one of the accused so that he can be exonerated. That's been told, you know that. And number three, why is it that, like Mr. Ahluwalia pointed out, this started in Italy? The arrest of Orsi, Giuseppe Orsi. My question is, if Giuseppe Orsi has been acquitted by the Italian government last year, the court, they threw it out and said there's no wrongdoing done by the Finmeccanica boss, then why are we continuing something which started there? You understand this, the source started in Italy. That's where the Attorney General pointed out that this man is being investigated. There is no case out here because we in our right has done everything in a transparent way. And like Mr. Ahluwalia and Mr. Ajay mentioned, it started at the time of Mr. Brajesh Mishra writing to reduce the height, increase the height of the aircraft and making the altitude less, 4,000. And they had just one tender. So they had only one person who was going to manufacture it, one company. So they wanted many more.
Christian Michel's return, obviously.
So there's also not an order. Why didn't they put an order? Let me finish. Why didn't they show what is that order? We do not see the order. And why has nobody come from the Ministry of External Affairs? They're supposed to do a press conference saying, you know, what has happened? Like you said, there was all this hue and cry, but nobody came out. Knowing the Bharatiya Janata Party, knowing the government of the day, they would have had this press conference saying, you know what, Christian Michel is going to be out here. No, where is that? What has happened to that?
Did Ravi Shankar Prasad kind of jump the gun, Raghav? You think he should have waited before welcoming this order, saying it's a great thing?
I think we should definitely welcome this order. Having said that,
but where is the order? Where is the order?
That's what we're asking. So let's read the order. But why does I don't understand why Shamaji has a problem if Christian Michel is extradited. If the law is,
that's what I said.
Right, I'm glad that she said so. I'm glad that she said so.
Because we are the one who ordered the CBI probe.
I'm glad that she said so. Secondly, as far as let me complete. As far as the Rafale scam is concerned, I would like to say that in psychology there is something known as projection. Since the Congress party has dealt with these middlemen, shady characters all their lives for the better part of their existence as a political party. Wait, let me complete. No, I didn't interrupt when you were speaking. Thank you. So, since the Congress party has dealt with all of these shady characters, they now want to, you know, somehow ensure that the people of India are misled into believing that there is a scam and it's a government-to-government deal. There are no middlemen involved.
But Rafale is a different story.
And if they are so confident that there is a scam, then why is it that the people of India are not buying their propaganda? They have been crying about, no, there was this Bharat Bandh which I think came a huge cropper.
He's digressing.
Which came a huge cropper.
Then
I think let's not digress. She was the one who talked about the Rafale scam. No, she was the one who talked about the Rafale scam. Don't engage in whataboutery.
Is possibly also what is happening here, and that ties in with what you say. At a time when the government's also facing heat on Nirav Modi, Vijay Mallya, Mehul Choksi, etc., Some headline management perhaps, some clever headline management to maybe try to change the narrative?
Well, look at it this way. If there was real hard evidence, if there was something to go on with, we would have had more from the CBI than a charge sheet filed and then everybody out on bail and no further action taken. It's clear to any observer or anyone who's following this deal in detail that the investigative agencies don't really have much to go on with. They're quite content to, in order to retain the weapon, you know, retain a knife which you can twist in the wound every now and then, to tar somebody like Air Chief Marshal Tyagi, somebody who's spent an entire career serving the country. No proof has been sort of marshaled against him, nothing that will stand up in a court of law, but the government continues this game and keeps the sort of issue alive in order to be able to use it politically. And based on the sort of headlines of the moment and the situation at the moment, it seems to me at least, and this is my individual judgment, that the government has believed that the time has come to use the weapon now.